What's up, guys? Readiness Rations here with you again, and we're doing another American meal ready-to-eat review. This, of course, is a vintage brown bag MRE, which at this point is just about 30 years old. We are taking a look at the infamous, or famous, depending on who you talk to, menu number 6, Chicken a la King, also known as Chicken a la Thing. This is one of those menus that people either love or hate. I've had guys tell me it was their favorite MRE ever, and I've heard the complete opposite from others, saying that it is a disgusting pile of slop, not fit to feed to a dog. Personally, this is one that I've been wanting to check out for a very long time, so I'm pretty excited for this video. Before we get this over to the desk to check it out though, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you like seeing these military ration reviews here on YouTube. While you're down there, be sure to drop me a comment and let me know what ration you'd like to see me review next. Now let's take this vintage Chicken a la King over to the desk and see what's included. Chicken a la King is one of the original 12 MRE menus, making its debut in 1981 at menu number 9. In 1988, it was moved to menu number 6, and finally it was replaced in 1993. So any Chicken a la King MRE you run into will be at least 30 years old at this point. It was packed by Sopaco, who is still packing MREs to this very day, and this one is actually fairly thin and pretty lightweight. The older brown bag MREs were not quite as comprehensive as our modern day versions. The outside package for this one is in fantastic shape. It's still nice and shiny. Hopefully the internal contents have held up just as well. Let's cut an incision in this and open it on up. Oh no, right away I'm seeing some oil seepage here. That is not a good look. Smell-wise, nothing seems off. Oh, look at those charms. So in our Chicken a la King, we have a fruit mix, freeze-dried, packed by Oregon Freeze Dried, who is Mountain House. It's a little bit sticky on the outside. A pack of MRE crackers, and those deposited a little bit of gunk on my hands there. We're really getting into the thick of it now. This is a sticky mess. I'm so happy this wasn't cheese spread. We have a peanut butter fortified 1 1/2 ounces packed by Thermopack in Stone Mountain, Georgia. I think this is our culprit for the stickiness everywhere. A pack of assorted charms, and those look to be sticky and disgusting. They are supposed to be hard candies. They are squishy and soft and leaking. This is a extremely sticky package of cocoa beverage powder type 1 fortified. We do have an MRE spoon, a old school brown accessory package, a beverage base powder that is orange. That's the first thing that I've noticed a day code on. That will be the 352nd day of 1990, the same year I was born. And lastly, we have the infamous Chicken a la King. There's our ingredients list, pretty long, and that was packed by Sinpack in Cincinnati, Ohio, coming in at 8 ounces. Now, this box has a lot of crud all over it. I'm hoping that is just juice from the charms. Let's open it up and see how the retort has held up after 30 years of who knows what kind of storage. We have a OD green retort pouch here. Even on the inside, it has some of that sticky charm residue. The retort itself does not seem to be swollen or compromised, so I don't think it was leaking. My theory is that the charm just kind of got all over everything. The day code on the retort is the 296th day of 1990. Now let's see what is in our accessory pack here. The aroma coming from that is just straight chemical. So in that we have a non-dairy creamer, a dark brown pack of Taster's Choice, one of my favorite ration coffees, 4 grams of iodized salt, 6 grams of sugar, a wet nap moist towelette, a light green pack of matches with red tips, the venerable Lighthouse toilet paper with a little bit of melted charms, and a 2-pack of peppermint chewing gum. These early brown bag MREs did not include a flameless ration heater for heating your main entree, so I'm actually going to get our main on to boil, and while it's doing its thing, we'll get everything else plated up. I didn't even attempt to clean anything. The charms have so evenly coated all of the contents, it just seemed like an exercise in futility, so everything is still nice and dirty and sticky, but we're going to push forward anyway. Let's get right into it with our cocoa beverage powder. And there's a look at the powder. I will give this a taste beforehand just to make sure it's not completely off. It's still sweet, a little bit chocolatey. It doesn't taste particularly rank. I think that is going to be decent. One of the best treats that you can experience in these vintage American rations is an MRE mocha. So we have a hot cocoa and we have a coffee. Let's see if this Taster's Choice is in any kind of condition to consume. And it is. It looks perfect. Check that out. Perfect coffee crystals, no mold. That's amazing. We're gonna add that right to the top of our hot cocoa here. And now let's take a look at that non-dairy creamer. This is one of those items that can go bad. And although it is a little bit more cream color than it is white, this doesn't look too terribly bad. Let's get a taste. Oh yeah, that's fine. So that's going in just to increase that creaminess level. And the hot cocoa has sugar in it, but a little bit more won't hurt. Put about half of this bag of sugar to that. And this is gonna be a treat that very few on the planet have the opportunity to try. I'll add about 8 ounces of screaming hot water to that. And give it a good stir. Whether or not the hot cocoa mixes up well is pretty hit or miss. This one looks like it's doing pretty good though. The smell of coffee is actually very strong on this, and that looks like one perfect MRE mocha to me. Time for the cold drink. That is our beverage-based powder orange. Sometimes these will be completely solidified. This actually feels like it's still in powder form, although a little bit clumped. This certainly looks a lot better than some brown bag drink mixes I've encountered in the past. Now, I'll be real with you guys, this powder does not smell good at all. It kind of smells like old B vitamins. It's just this sort of musty chemical kind of thing. To that, we're gonna add 12 ounces of cold water. And even before stirring, the water is already very orange. These old drink mixes do have real sugar in them, and sometimes that takes a while to dissolve, especially with cold water. But hey, that actually looks like a pretty normal glass of orange drink if you ask me. Let's get into these crackers. The vacuum still seems solid on these, and I did hear a little vacuum hiss there. That Charms crud is really making this an interesting experience. Look at those crackers. Very pale. Usually these older brown bag crackers are very brown and toasted. These are more along the lines of the look of a modern MRE cracker in terms of how toasted it is. They smell absolutely perfect. And besides a little fissure down the middle, they are still mostly all in one piece. Getting this peanut butter was such a welcome addition to this ration for me. I'm very tired of getting 30-year-old cheese spread, which if you haven't experienced it yourself, you can check out one of my other videos. I'll link it right here where I have reviewed that in the past, and that stuff is among the most rank and disgusting things you could ever get anywhere close to your mouth. Giving this a good knead to try to get the oils mixed back into the peanut butter. They tend to separate over time, although peanut butter basically never goes bad. Oh yeah, look at that peanut butter. Beautiful. Scrape a little off the top there. Looks creamy, not at all separated. There are a little bit of chunky bits in it. Let's dive right in. Oh yeah, man, that's good stuff. As perfect as the day it was packed. That is a 100% preserved time capsule of peanut butter. Couldn't be any better. Delicious, a little bit sweet, pretty salty, creamy, and turns the mouth into a desert, just as you would expect. I think I need to try a bite of one of these crackers. Let's test that snap. Oh yes, doesn't get any better than that. A perfect cracker square, crisp and crunchy, outstanding flavor. I've had better, but I've certainly had worse. And in the freshness department, these are 100%, same as the peanut butter. Let's try those two together as intended. Peanut butter and cracker, that will always be one of my favorite things in a ration. I love that combo. It is just such a classic and is legitimately very hard to beat. I am super parched at this point, so I think it's time for a little sip of our MRE mocha here. It's rich and creamy, it's sweet and chocolatey. You get a little undertone of coffee, but the coffee flavor is not that powerful. It all mixes together in this perfect harmony of drink powders. There is a little bit of a chemical after flavor going on with this particular drink. That's not uncommon of these old cocoa beverage powders. I'm sure that's probably what it's coming from. But even with that little bit of an off chemical taste, this is still a delicious cup of mocha. Oh boy, is that good. It's so sweet, it's like drinking a dessert. It's so warm, it's heating me from the inside out. Adding the coffee to the cocoa powder really is the best way to enjoy the two. And just the tiniest of sips left. If nothing else in the ration is good to eat, this and the peanut butter and crackers alone have made opening this meal worth it. I've allowed the chicken a la king main to boil for the better part of 10 minutes. It's always a good idea to err on the side of caution when attempting to consume food that is literally 30 years old. Of course, I don't suggest anybody else do this, but if you do, make sure you use all your senses in determining whether or not you think it is safe to eat. That extensive boiling did cause a little bit of delamination on the retort pouch, but that is quite normal. Let's tear this one open. Oh man, I see why they call it chicken a la thing. What is that? It looks like it's already been eaten. The smell isn't that great. It doesn't necessarily smell off. It just doesn't smell good. Let's pour it out onto the tray here. Oh boy. Yeah, that looks a bit like a sloppy mess to me. It's just kind of still slowly oozing out of the pouch here. It has a little bit of an old cheese smell. That's not sitting very well with me. And it's just sort of gloopy, sort of slimy, almost like some boiled okra or something. So we certainly have some green peas. Most of them are pretty mashed up, but a couple of them are still kind of whole. We have some little bits of red bell pepper. There's a lot of chicken in this. The chicken does look like mostly whole pieces of chicken. It appears to be dark meat, and it's rather stringy, but at least it's actual real chicken meat and not just a processed meat product. There's a little bit of mushroom. They're quite small, but there are some in here. That just looks so wrong. Look at this gloopy, slimy sludge. Like, what? Why is it like this? Check out the ingredients here. Dehydrated cream cheese. That's made of pasteurized milk and cream, non-fat dry milk, cheese cultures. So the reason this smelled like cheese is because there's literally cheese in the mix. And I'm guessing that sort of stringy, gelatinous gooiness is cheese. For the first time in a long time, I am actually a little bit afraid to try this. But what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So let's go in for a bite. I'll get a little bit of everything. I always say use all your senses. It's mostly passing the visual test. It doesn't quite pass the smell test, but knowing what I know, we're still gonna go in for a taste test. That was a super meaty bite. This actually tastes a lot better than it smells, but I still wouldn't describe this as good. This is nowhere close to one of my favorite menus, even brown bag menus that I've had. The cheese just doesn't taste right anymore. You can't have 30-year-old cheese and it turn out good. It just doesn't work that way. Dairy degrades in a very negative way over time, and even dried milk products have the possibility to make you quite ill if consumed. I'm very happy with the amount of protein in this. There is a lot of chicken in the mix. Something tells me the guys that consider this one of the best menus probably like that aspect. That last bite had a larger piece of mushroom in it, and that was pretty good. The meat's kind of stringy and dry. It's not causing any ill effects in my mouth. There's no numbness, there's no burning. It just doesn't taste that great. It's a little bit metallic tasting, and it has this old, funky, dirty sock kind of cheese taste going on. For those that deem this chicken a la thing, I can see that as well. You really don't know exactly what you're eating here, especially when it comes to what's in that sauce. The cheese is the predominant flavor in this. I can't taste the bell pepper by itself. Let's give this one pretty little pea, and that was noticeably pea, but the rest of them are just so broken up it's all just in one big sloppy mix. I would have really liked to have known what these were like when they were new. I can imagine this menu wasn't that bad. I am very pleased that this is still as edible as it is though, all these years later. Scoop up a bit here and slap that down on a cracker. Give that a try. The breadiness of the cracker helps to mask the pungent cheese a little bit, so that does make it a bit more edible in my opinion. I'll go in for another one of those. And at this point, I've killed off most of this tray. I'm very surprised I was able to eat as much as I did. These last couple bites have sort of been building this sort of numb, dry mouth kind of feeling that I'm getting, and so I think I'm pretty much done eating that. Yeah, at this point, the insides of my lips and cheeks are pretty well numbed out, and that's my body telling me, you've had enough? Let's wash that down with some of our beverage-based powder orange. Whew. Well, that was unexpected. Not exactly sure what happened there. I suppose I sucked some orange drink down the wrong pipe just before expelling orange beverage-based powder all over the place. I did notice this has a very sharp artificial flavor that I really didn't like. So let's go in for another taste. Yeah, that's not good. Not good at all. I've had some old beverage-based powders before and I've never had a problem drinking them. I really don't like this one though. It has a very harsh chemical bite, almost a burn to it. Even though that powder is in great shape, something in that has not held up properly, and I do not think I will be consuming any more of that orange drink. It just doesn't taste right at all. As far as spitting it everywhere goes, I don't know if that was an involuntary reaction of my body rejecting that drink, or if I just got a little bit ahead of myself and guzzled it down a little too quickly. I will go for another peanut butter cracker though. These never get old. If you guys could only see the floor under the reviewing area, I literally spit orange drink everywhere. Moving forward though, let's take it over to this freeze-dried fruit mix. Eat, dry, or reconstitute in cold water. There was no sign of a vacuum hiss, but our styrofoam-like freeze-dried fruit cocktail still looks to be in absolutely perfect condition. That looks like pineapple, that looks like cherry, we got some peach in there, and there'll be a little bit of pear. Test that snap. Oh yeah. On the cross section, we can definitely tell the difference between peach and pear. The best way to eat this is as is. So let's go straight in for a bite. Dang, that's good. Tart and sweet, crunchy in your mouth. It almost turns into a jam-like consistency. It tastes just like fruit cocktail. It's that mix of sugar syrup, the fruit flavors of pear and peach predominantly. The texture is a lot like styrofoam, but in the best way you can imagine. These are light and airy and crispy. Really a wonderful snack / dessert item. One that I think it would be worth adding to rations once again. Well, that was excellent. One day there will be no more of these left, and that will be a sad day. But for now, they are still attainable. And even after 30 years, they are almost always in perfect shape. Before we wrap this thing up, let's unwrap these very soggy charms. Wow, opening this up is going to be a problem. There's no structural rigidity to the outside of the package. Everything is just complete mush. Look at that. Everything is liquefied. Oh no, those are awful. Look. You can tell this is a red and that's an orange, but we just sort of squeeze out like a tube of toothpaste. Look at them coming out. These charms were certainly on their way to ruining this entire ration, but I think we caught it just in time. Let's see how a little bit of that charm mush tastes. Pretty gross. It's a little bit gritty. It's sweet. I couldn't tell you what flavor that is. Everything just kind of like blends together. Just a generic mushy fruit flavor. I suppose it's probably cherry, but who knows? I'm not a big fan of charms anyway, and when they're this kind of condition, they're better off in the bin than in your mouth, and they are all over my hands. So let's see if this wet nap held up at all. And that is actually still moist. Holy crap. That is one of the most surprising things of this whole ration, that this wet wipe is still good after being packaged in 1990. That is wild. It's actually dissolving that melted sugar fairly well. Feeling a lot less sticky than I was before. We'll pop one of our pieces of chewing gum here, and although hard and crumbly, that turns into a soft, pliable gum without much trouble, and is actually pretty sweet and tasty. Well guys, that about does it for this vintage brown bag MRE review. That was the long-awaited menu number 6 Chicken a la King from 1990. It's a love-hate ration, and in this one video, I've experienced both points of view. I can see how this would have probably been a lot better had it been new, and even being 30 years old. It's not the worst thing I've ever put in my mouth. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to hit that thumbs up to help it out with the Google algorithm. If you want to see more ration reviews like this in the future, both new and old, foreign and domestic, military and civilian, subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you thought about the video down in the comments and what ration you'd like to see me review next, and I will catch you guys in the next video. See you then. Peace.